Our episode today did have to be cut into 2 separate episodes due to the length of the initial recording. The second part of the episode will be releasing on Wednesday as a bonus episode.
Welcome back. This is Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
And neither of us are Harper. But we have a guest today and we're very excited.
Yes.
Yes.
This has been in the making for a long time.
Yeah.
I am Harper.
Yes.
Hello. At least for now.
Fair enough, yeah.
For the foreseeable future.
Sometimes I'm me and sometimes I don't exist.
I try not to ask that question.
Yeah.
Into the wind.
We just went over this.
We just went over this. I'm not allowed to consider whether I exist or not, or everything will fall apart.
I don't want to exist. Well, shit. We got into the deprecation really early this time. Sorry, guys.
Let's get right in there.
Any housekeeping you want to get into before we get into our weekly recap?
I prepared for that.
Did you?
I was like, did I do anything this week? I was like, I did a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Or stuff happened.
I have stories.
We should plug the YouTube, the Spotify. We should plug our Teespring. We have
soul-sucking plugs.
We have merch. If you guys are interested.
We do have merch. I'm so excited.
We have backpacks. We have shirts, hoodies. We even have wine
leggings.
flasks because Jen loves wine flasks.
There's
Jen.
Yeah, there's leggings and there's cropped hoodies and all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah.
And so far we have
actually interesting merch because usually it's like, oh, we got t-shirts and a hoodie.
Right.
And it's like, that's cool.
Stuff.
But you need some brand extension.
Exactly.
Here.
That's what I was thinking when we were picking things out. Like we even have masks. Kaylee's design is on a mask.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's
I love
great.
that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new, as of today.
Yeah, we updated last minute.
Which is super exciting. So if you were not in our live, technically a week ago, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, the way time happens.
There's more stuff, so go check it out. All right. Then I suppose that it is time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
Indeed. Do you want to go first or should I go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing.
I can go first because it's easy.
Yeah. Oh, I did have a dentist appointment and I have to pay like $3,000 for a new tooth.
And they did what to your mouth?
Oh, they broke one of my teeth. While she was messing around in there, she broke one and ignored it.
And then denied it.
Yeah.
Like
I have a bunch
winner.
of broken teeth. I have like 3 that are actively broken and hurt because the pulp is exposed.
Yeah, I've broken things.
You know how it goes.
I like you're explaining why a broken tooth would hurt,
just
and I'm
hurts,
like, I'm just like,
yeah, it's
tooth pain is up there.
Yeah,
like it is something else.
I have a story on that.
Nice.
Yeah,
we'll get into it.
I mean, and that other than the dentist, it was just a rough week.
Yeah,
it wasn't horrible, but
dysautonomic.
Yeah, we had that weird tachycardic event. Mm-hmm. We got all tacky in the middle of the week for no reason.
Yeah. Well, that one was really funny.
Our heart rate jumped up really high.
Okay.
From doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I was asleep and it woke me up. I was at like 140, then I went to 150.
Yeah.
I was taking my blood pressure.
Yes. Oh, it was exciting. And
yeah,
that was kind of the theme for my week, was just like, I could not regulate at all, anything at all,
physically,
ever.
Emotionally.
Well, and I was just tired because it had been like 4 days last week, right? Because I was talking about how we had been like potsy and it had been a problem. And then Monday it got so bad that I left work early because I felt so fucking sick. Then I went to urgent care.
Yeah.
And I got fluids and they did an EKG, which was hilarious because guess what? My abnormal Q wave is back, which is really funny because the last 2 EKGs, it was clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Ask y'all like constant questions. What's a Q wave?
So generally it indicates that there's been an infarct, which is like
messed up.
A clot, right? Or like
right.
Yeah.
Infarct, kind of the word tells you something's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like an infarction is a heart attack, right?
Yeah.
And so
if it's morbid,
they don't know why that's a thing.
Ooh. Right.
And then it's only sometimes. So that's interesting. And then finally they gave me fluids. They did labs and everything because they were like, I'm sorry, what is wrong with you? I was like, I passed out this morning. And they were like, why didn't you lead with that? And I was like, I forgot.
You're like, there's a lot that happens in my life, okay?
And they were like, I'm sorry.
This seems normal.
Because I called
It really does.
I called the nurses line because I didn't want to go to the urgent care for
Mhm.
fluids. I was like, can somebody else get me fluids? And so they're talking and they're trying to set it up. And I'm like, well, and I also passed out this morning, if that makes a difference. And she's just like,
Go.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Exactly.
You idiot. You forgot? And I was like, yeah, it's not super unusual, okay?
I've been there. I've been in the ER, and then like halfway through, they'll be like, "Wait, why didn't you mention this?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I just remembered."
I didn't think it was important, okay? I just need fluids. Give me the salty blood water and go away.
I know what the problem is. Just solve it the way I tell you to, and everything will be fine.
Exactly.
And they
And we can all
never
walk away
do.
happy.
Because
Yeah,
they're like,
they
it's your heart. And I'm like, it's not. I promise it's not. It's really not my heart, I promise. So that was Monday to start my week off. It was great.
Oh
and
my
I just
God.
had like shit bad week. And then, was it Thursday?
Yeah.
Was our like crazy tacky day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hilarious because it woke you up. And I had been like in the kitchen and I felt it like coming on because you know how it's like a squeeze
Yep.
in your body first and then it just kind of, your heart rate just keeps going up and up and up. And I'm laying on the kitchen floor with my feet above my head on the like dishwasher and I hit like 158 and then we finally got it to come down because my husband was not pleased.
Yeah.
I think if it had gone on any longer he would have called 911 or
Rightfully.
taken me in or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then it would have
when you
evened
start
out.
approaching
Like,
the upper limits, you should probably.
Exactly. That's
Yeah, it's like,
like,
oh,
yeah.
there's a point at which your heart stops going up.
goal.
no.
You don't have to
I'm
rush
kidding.
it. It'll do its on its own.
Eventually.
Yeah. There's no rush.
Right. But immediately afterwards, I texted you
Yeah.
and was like, I just went full tacky. Is your nervous system also being a bastard?
Yeah.
And that was when he had been woken up by it.
Yeah, I was
because,
like, I just woke up and I am not feeling great.
weird psychic links. Fun times.
That'd be the worst psychic link.
It's so
Is
dumb.
this?
It
What if
really
you had a
is.
psychic, like someone else had a psychic link with you like that, but they don't have it yet?
We're the same
Exactly.
They
voodoo
just
doll.
go through the stuff. There's no explanation. Y'all are just, your vital bodies are connected at a deep level.
Yeah.
That
would be so mean.
terrible.
Like the worst superpower ever.
I can share my feelings with you.
They have true
I've
empathy.
never met you, and I will
Yeah.
never see
That's what
you.
a real empath is. Yeah.
You're like, here, feel this.
They feel your pain
Viscerally.
Yeah, viscerally.
There
There
you
you go.
go. Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. We have like the same voodoo doll. I don't know. Oh, and then I had a mental breakdown that same day.
Yeah.
And I like,
I mean, that seems like the right timing.
right?
Yeah.
So, because I was just so done feeling sick. Because, like, I don't know how many times I can say it. Like, pain is one thing, right? Pain is its own, like, bundle of stuff. But then you add the, like, constant feeling of illness and unwellness and bees in my body and sweating for no reason and passing out and having people stare at me and fucking... And I was just so done, and all of everything. And I was like, cool, we'll just cry it out and then go home. And then my grandfather was at my house in the front yard working on the boat. And so I drove past my house,
Oh, no.
turned around, left, and called Chris and was like, I'm a mess, and I don't know what to do. I can't go home with him there. And so I wound up coming over here and, like, I don't know, catharsis.
Catharsis happened,
It
yeah.
happened. It was fine.
Went in the backyard. We talked it out.
Yep. Cried it out. It was
Yeah.
good times. And then I was fine. So, yeah, it was a crazy, obnoxious week. Yeah, car horns in the back. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's like, what are those alarms?
I don't know if you can hear them. Hopefully you can. Because I just said you're welcome. So, I don't know.
Thank you.
It's what I needed.
There we go. Now it's complete.
It's
Now the
perfect.
cycle is complete.
You can move
We've
forward.
finished the conversation.
There you go.
That was it.
Oh,
That was it. Have a nice day. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, there you go. We're ending the podcast now. It's over.
It's the last one because of the
The
car of the car alarm.
We've been waiting
That was
for that
it.
alarm.
We just can't work under
We
this
had
pressure.
dogs, we had kids, now it's cars. We're done.
Cars are too much.
Finished.
Soon the AI will be involved.
There you go. Narrating over us,
Just narrate.
just in space.
Every
Like,
now and then, my FBI agent just cuts a few of my words out of the mic. He's editing, and it's like, I'm sure he talked about this for like 5
swear.
minutes.
It's
And
just
all that
like-
comes up is, please do not investigate. And he's saying it over and over.
They've even like fixed your mouth so it looks like you're saying it. It's perfect. Oh, and then I had the weird pain and PTSD group on Friday.
Yes.
And I hated it. It was awful and just terrible and bad. And
It was a bunch of like how do you describe it?
Yeah,
It was
what
like
is this?
learning
chronic,
mindfulness kind of
Well, it was, yes.
trying to teach mindfulness to people with chronic pain.
And we don't have chronic pain.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
never one
a
pain.
revolving door
okay.
of pains that all vie for your attention and take turns being in the forefront.
It's kind of like what is the quote? All happy families are the same, and every unhappy family is unhappy in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like y'all don't have just the pain; y'all
Right.
get a new type of pain
Every
Right.
every day.
Well, and that's
It's
exactly it. Like, you wake up and you're like,
connoisseurs.
Yes.
Is it going to be
Yeah.
my shoulder or is it going to be my ankle today? Am I going to have to wear a knee brace or are you wearing a thumb brace today?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not chronic pain. It's totally different because these are people who have like an injury or a botched surgery
From, like, a trauma.
Right. It comes from a
And
trauma.
they had like a
right?
nerve damage
Yeah.
type thing. That's
Right.
just like, well, now
These are
pain is part of
people
your
who
life.
have
Exactly.
Okay.
a pain that they deal with.
So what was
and-
terrible about it for you?
Because they don't understand, like the people who lead these things don't understand that EDS is completely different. It's not like, because chronic pain patients often have a fear of the pain, right? They like protect a body part because they don't want to feel the pain, or
They'll try to hide from the
there's
pain. a bit.
yes,
Yeah.
and then there's
Okay.
more grief involved because they were normal before, right?
Yeah.
And now they have pain, whereas we were like, I was born into the pain. Like, I've always been here.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly how it goes. And,
And
like,
then you just lifted one of them and broke their back? Because that's usually what I do.
That's
And
the
it's just-
go-to
yeah.
move. Right?
Yeah, I meet
Socially
someone who's-
acceptable.
socially acceptable.
Yeah, I meet someone who's like, oh, well, my aunt cured her diabetes with cinnamon. And I'm just like, I was
hate
born in the
These
cinnamon.
people I was born in the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
Pile drivers.
So then they're like going through and they were doing it's like breathing exercises and then progressive I can't remember. It's
The
progressive.
thing
Yeah,
where
progressively
they go through like
relaxation.
certain parts of your body and
Yes,
tense
and they
and
tense
relax.
them and
tense
relax them.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this just so that I can say I've done it because I'm pissed off about having to do this. And I did it and immediately dislocated my wrist and my shoulder at the same time.
I was about to say that's not
It's
really
not a good
if
one
you
for
easy-
us.
Yeah.
No.
Tensing your muscles doesn't
Well,
do
and
great things to joints if those joints don't like to
Right.
stay together.
Right.
the other part of it is that like the muscles have to do all of the work, right? So if we relax, we're gonna dislocate.
Yeah.
The muscles have to
Oh,
hold
because
tension.
of the how y'all's cartilage works.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh, okay.
the
Everything's loose.
Yeah,
Like
but-
I hold my shoulders up
right.
because when I go down, they start slipping out, and I can like.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
can feel
Okay.
gravity is our enemy, and essentially relaxation is the enemy, right? These people are all trying to get to relaxation, and I'm like, no. Push relaxation off until the very last second before I have to be asleep because I have stuff to do still, and if I relax and I dislocate everything, I'm going to be pissed
My
off and it's
skeleton falls
over.
apart.
Exactly.
It's like
It's
like
over.
those, it's
That's
like
it.
it's like the skeletons in lab class where they're held together with a wire.
Uh-huh.
I had a
Just
teacher who
snip
had
the
one that you could loosen it just real easy.
Oh,
and,
no.
and they would do it to mess with people. Someone would walk up to the desk and they had like a little wire they could pull, and the skeleton would just kind of, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
and
That's great.
but that's
how it
just
goes.
y'all.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So
That's y'all and relaxing.
Yeah.
2 of their exercises, I was already like, this is stupid and I hate it. And you were all terrible. Fuck you.
You were in a bad mood anyway.
Well, I was just like, I was done. It was Friday and I was done. It was finished. We had all-day advisory with high schoolers for 2 days.
Fun. They
Which
definitely
means they
want to
had
do
to
that at the
stay-
end of the year, right? That's what they want to do.
And I'm
Be
like, I'm tired of
advised
your face
before
and you're
summer.
tired of my face. And we had to spend 7 hours together today just staring at each other, and it was
God.
not fun. And then the last piece was like pacing, right? Because they talk about those like spikes.
Oh yeah,
they're
the
talking about-
ghost.
Yeah. So essentially what it is that I can't even remember. So it's basically like chronic the effects of chronic stress, right? But the problem is that we don't even have chronic stress technically, because this is our whole life forever. And we are really good at adopting
We
baseline.
used to though.
Yes. At the beginning,
so
like when things
because what you're describing, I will tell you, sounds like chronic stress.
Well,
so
and
when
it
you say
kind
you
of
don't,
is,
I understand
but-
there must be, so like, what is
Yeah.
the distinction you mean between like,
so they're talking about these like
baseline
really
and-
big peaks and these really big valleys.
yeah,
Right. And then like some normal activity and really big peaks and really big valleys.
okay,
And they're trying to achieve this like,
sine wave,
Yeah.
Right.
this nice,
but
pleasant
the
wave.
thing is that we don't really spike because this is all the time forever. Like even on pain medication,
Mm-hmm.
we are still in pain
Yeah,
because at any given
mitigates it.
time,
Right.
you're still there's like 7 or 8 different pains at any given time. And so
okay.
they're talking about like what amplifies your pain, what activity amplifies your pain, and we're like
life.
being alive,
Exactly.
having a heartbeat.
It's
What
hard,
do you
like,
want from me?
Sitting, moving, talking.
Right. Or like
I'm
when they
like,
asked you like what
being
traumatic
conscious.
event caused your pain.
Oh
it's just,
my god. Yeah, they were like, explain why you think you're in pain. And I was like, genetics? I don't know. When a mommy and a daddy tolerate each other, what do you want from me?
There's a song, and just because it's been on my mind a ton, there's a song by Lemon Demon.
Oh, I know what you're
You like Lemon
talking
Demon?
about.
Called Angry People?
Yep.
Yeah, where they say when 2 angry people hate each other very much,
Yes.
they make love like birds of prey and Africanized bees, and with a little luck they succeed.
Yes.
And I've been thinking of it so much.
That's what's in my body is
Yeah.
the Africanized bees.
You know Lemon Demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I can't say his real name, that's why I don't.
Oh yeah.
That's
I know his
really
first name's
funny.
Neil, and
Oh.
Cistriega.
Cistriega?
I
Is that what
think.
it is?
I'm
I'd have to
butchering it.
see
Careful
it and then
and not
try.
say it.
Yeah, no, I just
my
wrote
name's
that.
very easy to say.
Right, there you go.
Harper Wall.
Yeah.
But then they were
So-
talking about like, so that they were asking for examples from people like,
Mm-hmm.
what amplifies your pain? And one woman's like, vacuuming. She's like, okay, how long can you go before it causes you pain? She's like, well, I can do like 3 minutes of vacuuming before I have to take a 10-minute break.
Wow.
And so they were like, cool, that's your new ratio for that activity.
Right.
And I was
tell
just
her to
like,
buy an iRobot.
excuse
Yeah,
me.
right.
No, like really, like just buy an auto. Like if
It's
you
just
can only
like-
do it for 3 minutes.
Well, but then the other lady's like, dishes. I can only do dishes for like 5 minutes, and then I have to rest for 20. Or like all these weird things where
I have bad news
we're
for these
like
people.
push
They're
through,
machines that do these things.
Yes.
and we're just like push through everything until nighttime.
Like, I'm worried about this. Like I can only do it for 3
Harper,
minutes.
you need to lead these things because you have solutions for them. like
You're
find
like,
an
"Oh, that
activity.
causes you
Well, you
pain."
know.
This is why I just need
Here's an
someone who's
alternative.
driven,
Yeah.
who wants
There you
to
go.
take advantage of my success, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But in the
know.
meantime, I'm like, oh no, I'm happy breathing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my
Fair.
favorite thing to do. So it's free. No
I
one can
don't
take
like
it from me.
breathing.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I
that was the
used
other
to
one, was
like it, but
deep breathing, because I, with like all the muscle stuff,
Yeah.
I can feel to like just below the diaphragm, and then everything else is super tight in my.
Really? Okay.
So you have the
In
opposite.
your core.
My lungs
so
are
I
super
can-
bad. Awesome.
But it is annoying and it hurts and it causes like the rippling
Yeah.
in
I
the
know,
muscles,
yeah.
and I hate it.
I can feel my lungs like no one's business.
You have really good lungs. Though.
Oh yeah, I love
You
it.
played wood wood. You played wood instruments.
Woodwind.
Woodwind, yeah.
Yes.
What did you
there
play?
go.
I played the contrabass clarinet.
Okay.
The 6-foot one.
Yeah.
That goes way up. And I was in middle school. I was a little guy.
And then in
I played trumpet in
2018,
middle school.
Nice.
the doctor said no.
No more woodwinds. And that kind of broke my
They
heart.
were like,
'cause I
don't
really like it.
do
Why?
wind instruments because you could collapse your
Yeah.
lungs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that might.
Because EDS.
That's a reason.
You're right.
I mean, at that point, it really depends on how you feel about playing the
You're
instrument.
like,
Right,
do I
I've
like
built up
breathing?
muscles. I can do it. And I've been doing it. Like, I
Right.
grew up doing it.
Yeah,
So I'm not
it's
worried.
just another risk.
Yeah.
It's like having
Yeah.
your neck adjusted by a chiropractor.
Right.
Where they're like,
Something I
don't
do
do
not
that.
let them
And then you're
do.
like, fuck it.
You're like,
I'm going to
no
let
neck.
them do that.
Yeah, no neck.
Oh.
I had some good luck with chiropractors, and then I had consistent bad luck, and so I stopped going.
Yeah, I went.
I just learned how to do most of it myself. I got real
Exactly.
weird
Yes.
about it, and I was like, I'm just going to learn how to be a body mechanic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's essentially how
Now I
we
have all
live
these
our lives.
cool little tools for doing it, and I have this one real unfortunate looking thing that lets you, I'm not going to describe it.
Well, now I'm concerned because you said it's unfortunate looking.
Well, people can find it. It's called a Gemini.
Okay.
And it's for mobility of your spine.
Okay.
And here, I'll show y'all so y'all aren't just like, how do I say it? It looks like a butt plug.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like even on this page, it says not for internal
Oh, that's
mobilization.
funny. Oh, no.
Like, so, but what it's meant to do is target the muscles on either side of your spine,
Right.
which are
Yeah.
really hard to target without crushing your spine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got this thing. Oh, it's a life changer. You get down there, you put it on, you do like this to get all your shoulders out of the way, which y'all might have to be careful if y'all did that. And you can kind of like, you can just get into these knots that otherwise would
just couldn't.
Yeah.
require someone else to get to.
My favorite way to
Interesting.
get those is like you move your shoulder out of the way and you find a corner. And then you like
Yeah.
pull your shoulder back into the corner and you just go like down.
Well, that does a slightly different spot.
like that one.
That does these. So most people's knots tend to form on the edge of the scapula.
Yep.
Which
Oh,
is
okay,
that big
so
shoulder
this
blade.
is closer to
This
the
is
spine.
way. This is the muscles that keep your spine doing what spines should do.
Right.
Interesting.
Not twisting, not wiggling around. You know
all
what
those
most
things
people's
that we-
spines don't do. I don't know about y'all's.
Yeah, bad time.
Seems like y'all's
But-
might be a little loose too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hated it, and they were like, maybe you should try pacing, and I was like, haha, haha,
Can you not
ha,
pace?
ha. Because they
Or-
were like, that's what they were talking about with the like, make sure your waves are like blah blah blah. So find a ratio of
Right.
activity to rest, and I was like, also no.
So I love pacing.
I
So that's why I
cannot.
was like,
I either am on or I'm off. Those are like the
I've
options.
learned to do pacing recently.
But
see,
if I like
pace
stop, that's
nearly
it.
10,000 to 20,000 steps a day.
Oh, see,
Right.
that kind of pacing I will do because
Yeah.
I need to stay in motion. Because
Yeah.
it's that like we have a saying
You gotta
called
get deep into the pacing.
body
You gotta- the
in
world needs to
motion.
disappear.
Right.
That's a good pace. When you pace and you
It's when you
realize you
walk
just
the same
kicked your
spot
cat,
and you just start
and you're like,
digging
and that
a
was
hole.
5 minutes ago.
Right.
You're like, I got this is good. I mean, I've totally purposefully disassociated from this day I did not want to live through. It's like, nice.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Uh,
like I stay in perpetual motion because if I stop, that's it. It's over.
Okay.
We're done.
Huh.
Which is why like I come home and if I take my shoes off, it's over.
That's
So
the end.
I have to keep my shoes on to keep doing things.
Well, and it gets destructive at a point. So it's like
well, yeah. That's the whole point of
She's bending
a
spoons
clean
now.
house
exactly.
and a hurt body.
A
So
clean house and a hurt body.
I deserve a clean house and a hurt body. Thank you very much.
That's our motto.
That's our
And our
motto.
merch. Haha. You're
It is.
welcome.
Is it
It
really?
really is.
Oh no.
On episode 2, I was like, I deserve a clean house and a hurt body because I was talking
So you're
about
talking about, yeah.
cleaning angry because you're in pain.
I
So
did
you're
that
like,
recently.
You're like, I'm going
Right.
to
I
punish
try
my
not
body
to,
for
but
hurting.
it was really effective when you clean angry.
Cleaning.
Yeah.
But I avoid it real carefully. But otherwise, I'll
Yeah,
get
no.
too angry.
We're
Right.
like, I'm
Yeah.
going to
Amp
punish
yourself
this
up.
flesh
Yeah,
form.
I get too upset.
That happens with me with
Like
the
the
kids
dishes
because,
make you cry.
well, I'll be finding things I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why is this like this? The kids should know better. What the? And I'm like, being super harsh.
this house? Fuck these.
Who didn't teach these kids was completely my fault.
Why didn't I teach these kids better?
Exactly. Then it gets self-destructive. You're just like, "Meh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just call it stalling now because I'll do it at the end of the night where I'm like, I'm going to manically clean stuff. And my husband's like, go to bed. And I'm like, but I'm not ready to pay for all of my
So-
bad decisions.
I have to make up.
I have to make more bad decisions to pay for later.
Yes, exactly.
It's more fun this way.
More fun.
See,
Yeah.
I was raised by a long family tradition of hoarders. So I don't know what clean looks like. I don't know how to do it. But I do know how to keep things wildly hygienic. Because I always had to do injections with diabetes.
Oh, yeah.
Before I got the pump, I was doing, 4 or 5 injections a day, so
Oh,
things
wow.
had to be
Yeah.
clean. So my parents stayed hoarders. But got really good at keeping
sterile
things
hoarders.
hygienic.
I would like to see that, honestly. Because
It's
I've seen like
odd.
hoarding that's horrible, like hygienically.
It got
Yeah.
worse. When I left, they
Oh.
didn't have
Oh,
to
yeah,
stay
that's true.
hygienic. Yeah.
But a hygienic
Like let
hoard?
the germs
And they work
flow.
on it. Just so you understand. I don't want to just throw them under the bus. Like they do. They don't just abandon their issues to other people.
My husband gets
they work
that
on their stuff
from
too.
his mom and his grandfather, who were both hoarders. His
Mm.
grandpa's was a really bad hoarder, and it was really just gross and horrible.
Oh.
His mom is a very organized hoarder,
Okay.
so she can pack
I would say most of my
unreal-
relatives were like that.
Yeah.
like
ones
unreal
that dealt
amounts of
with it.
stuff into one space, and then everything else looks clear.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's still hoarding, but it's like a cleaner version of hoarding.
Mine looks like maybe I'm just bad at decorating.
You're
That's
like,
what
I'll
my
just collect
house.
more things.
And
it's
I've
fine.
checked. I was like, when I went to college, I remember I finally gotten away from home. I'm an only child, and so that was a lot of freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was very careful to look at, okay, this habit came from my parents when it would pop up. Because I'd always heard, you hear like the trope of, I'm never going to be like my parents.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
invariable, that person
Yeah.
becomes like a weird future copy
Yeah.
of their parents. And so I was like, I don't want that to happen. So I'd look at any habit or view of the world I had. And if I could tell real clearly it came from one of my parents, I would ask myself, how did they use it? Was that successful? And are there things I need to change? And that actually worked out really
Yeah, that's an
well.
organized way of
except for
going
the
about
cleaning.
How old were you when you were doing this? Like 18, 19?
College. Yeah.
18.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say
That's
that's a
really
really
self-respected,
organized
So let's.
approach.
I want to do my weekly recap.
Yes,
'cause
jump
I
in.
planned for
We're
this.
good. Ready?
He
So
has
I'm
one.
like,
Let's
I'm
do it.
excited. This is also one of the only weeks where I actually wrote down my goals for the week.
There you
Nice.
go.
Number 1 goal: plan hanging out with someone, and under it says Saturday podcast.
Yeah, we did it.
So I was like, yes. I was like, now I
Goal
don't have to find
accomplished.
other people to hang out with. I don't have to find someone at a random coffee shop and like want to be friends. Which is what I do.
That's
and
how we
is
met.
how I met them. Through the grandfather.
Yes.
We had a long conversation about gender equality.
Everyone who watches this podcast is like, your grandfather is like the coolest fucking human.
Oh, yeah,
We're
he's
like, yeah,
great.
I know.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
mine,
he's
and
a
you
lot of
can't
fun.
have him. I'm not sharing.
He's going to get on the podcast eventually. Someday.
Eventually,
Sooner or
we'll
later,
drag
yeah.
him on.
Yeah.
He'll talk about what it's like to be a grandparent to y'all.
It'll be so mean. He's
y'all
going
will
to be so
It'll
savage.
be so mean.
I can
So
tell he
mean
seems like
and
the type
so
that won't pull
sarcastic.
punches.
Oh, he
it's
will
like,
not.
well, if they want to know, I'll be honest with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
he likes to
yeah.
tell us that we're incapable and or stupid and stubborn.
Aw.
It's the favorite thing.
Real quick, just for reference, I had a heart issue. They thought there was a blockage, so I was in the hospital. He comes over to visit, make sure I'm okay. First thing he says when he walks to the room is, "Hi, stupid." Because I was cleaning the house. I was reorganizing rooms, and this happened.
Oh, and you went
And I
all tacky.
overdid it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's just holding you accountable.
Yes, exactly.
That's really
In a
what's
mean
happening.
and sarcastic way,
the
yes.
sassiest way he can.
Yeah.
Ah, I like it.
Yeah, it's
I like
great.
it. I'm about
Too
it.
accountable, though. He's like,
So-
I won't hug you hard because EDS. And I'm like, God damn it, just hug
Hug me
me.
harder,
damn it."
break it. It's a hug. The other thing I did is I had to call the medical supply company that gives me my medical supplies.
Always fun.
Because they always call the wrong number.
Oh, my God.
And so I get close to like 4 or 5 days of running out of the supplies that keep me alive day to day.
Huh?
So I called them up and they made me answer a bunch of questions. And then finally I was like, so what phone number do you have on there? And they're
The
like, oh, we
wrong
have
one.
this. And I was like, okay, that's wrong. So you're going to need to put this number in there. Like, well, I'm not sure how. I was like, I wasn't asking you to. Call your supervisor. And this time I had gotten
Delete
someone.
the first number.
Yeah, because they weren't. I had accidentally, for one reason or another, they were farming out their first calls to just call bank
Oh no.
somewhere. And so the person was like, "Oh, you're already up on my system." I'm like, "I know. It asked me the questions you're asking me now. I'm not going to answer them again."
You know.
And he just didn't quite. I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was very tired
Well,
when
yeah.
I called. So I got that done, and I'll call them in a couple of days to make sure they didn't do it wrong again. Because sometimes the system will update, and then it'll put in the wrong number
Yep.
Yeah.
for months and months and months.
Or they change systems and without
Yeah.
telling customer. Yeah.
My doctors like to throw them under the bus instead of take any responsibility.
Oh, it's
So I'm
the
like,
best.
I'm sure, yeah, definitely their fault. That's why they're the ones who actually get me the medication, right? Because they're
Interesting.
doing it wrong. I was checking on a real estate license. How much would it cost for me to get one?
Interesting.
Because, how do I explain that without going into a story I don't want to tell?
If you haven't seen the new line of merch yet, you can check that out at fantastic-pains-creator-spring.com. The Fantastic Pains Teespring has a variety of shirts, hoodies, backpacks, and other merchandise you can get to support the channel and show off your fantastic pains.
I was about to get a real estate license in Alabama, but then I was thrown out of my house
Oh no.
the week I was going to take the license
Oh my God.
Oh.
because I needed to get a job. And I was like, do you...
You almost have a job, but I need you to go.
Yeah, you got to leave.
'Cause, you don't
I know
have a
you've been
job.
working on this a long time.
God. So you were ready for.
I was done.
Oh my God.
All I had to do was take this. I had taken the first test you had to take
Yeah.
to prove you took the
Yeah.
class. All I had to do was take the state license. And unfortunately, that did hit me really, really hard.
Oh yeah.
And so I didn't find out. And then 2020 happened. This was like October 2019. And then
Right before everything went bad.
I
Fun.
spent some time
Pre-cats.
on a friend's sofa for a while, which was very kind of them. And then I ended up here in Denver.
Yeah.
And so I was looking, okay, what would it cost? Because you can get a license here and use it in Alabama,
Okay.
Oh,
which
yeah.
would help me out with a whole bunch of things in my life.
Yeah.
A bunch
Fair.
of real weird family property stuff
Yeah.
that would be a lot easier if I just sold all that property
Yeah.
and they could fight over money instead.
There you go.
Money's way easier to fight over, it
Yeah.
turns out, other than land.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because unless the
divide
judge
that.
owns a lot of land, they don't understand. But I memorized the Eightfold Noble Path
Nice.
from Buddhism, and so that was fun. What was I going to do? Oh, I didn't get that one done. I'm learning how to cook with a wok.
Oh.
Y'all ever cooked with a
yes.
wok?
Yes.
Yeah. I've tried.
I
I've
love
failed.
wildly
several times.
different.
Yeah.
Well, there's a fantastic book that just came out on it by J. Kenji Lopez Alt. I think I said his name correctly. Called The Wok.
Fair.
A walk.
And I was really excited about it. He had a real pleasant YouTube show that he didn't really intend to make big, and it got big just because he's a good personality, really.
Right.
Yeah.
He has a good chatter. And he just like put a GoPro on. He'll be like, "Hey,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
making an egg sandwich because it's the middle of the night."
Nice.
And then you watch a professional chef
Yeah.
Make an
make like egg
sandwich in the middle of
sandwiches,
the
make like his family food, like all sorts of things like that. And it's just very pleasant.
Yeah.
So when I knew he was coming out with a book about the wok, I had owned one in college that I never learned how to use, and I just felt this deep sense of shame over it. I don't have that wok anymore.
Right.
I
You're
got
like, I
so shameful
disrespected
over
the
it
wok.
that I was like, goodbye.
Oh man.
And I went on this whole mission around town. I couldn't use my car at the time because of title issues. And so I rode the bus all over town to every, I don't know what you would call them. Oriental grocery stores.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, like
Yeah.
H Mart or
Yeah, like H
H-Marts.
Mart. I went
Uh-huh.
to almost every one in the Denver metro area
yeah.
to find a wok that would fulfill my standards. I never found one.
Oh,
I ordered one that was great from San Francisco.
I have a wakillet.
me too. A
Yeah.
wok skillet.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a wok skillet.
It's like a flat-bottomed wok. So
Yeah.
it has the
Oh
nice
yeah,
curve.
mine is flat bottom.
Okay,
Yeah.
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 Oh, I love
I've
mine.
never heard them called
I
that.
love it. I just call it the wakillet because
Did you come up with that?
I might have. I don't
Because
know.
I've been calling mine a Wakillet for years.
I don't know. Maybe I don't.
I'm just wondering if we independently came up with the same thing.
I don't know. We're just a
Psychic link,
duplicate
right?
of
That
one
psychic
another.
link.
So
You had a moment of pain and you were like, "What kill it?
wakillet.
Oh, that's a good name for a wok skillet."
Yes.
The other stuff I did, I started to learn how to pronounce and read ancient Pali, which is the language that the earliest extent complete Buddhist canon is written in.
Oh,
Wow.
cool. Okay.
And I like attempting to learn languages. I only know one. But I can pronounce pretty well French, Spanish, Sanskrit, and getting close with Pali.
Wow.
Nice.
I just couldn't say much of anything in
Yeah.
any of
Right.
those or understand much of anything in those, which is a weird skill to have, I will
Yeah.
say. Because you go
You're
somewhere
like I can
else.
read it.
Yeah. But
That's
like
it.
I'd go to France and I could pronounce things right. And then I'd know nothing they said.
Right.
And they'd be like,
They're like,
and I was like, America. And they're like, oh, they all like, at that point they liked me.
Right.
So I wasn't worried about revealing it. Up until then, I was definitely Scandinavian.
Canadian.
I've done that. I did that
You're
when
like,
I met
"I'm from
Austin
Canada."
online. I was like, because he's from Canada. He lives in Quebec, so he's French Canadian.
Yeah.
And I was like, I made sure that we had a rapport before. I was like, yeah, I live in America. He's like, cheeseburgers, huh? And I'm like, yes.
A cheeseburger.
We have those. That's the thing we have. Yeah. Cheeseburgers and guns.
Yep, that's us.
That's America.
There you go.
Oh, I had a blowout fight with a longtime
wow.
friend, which we'll see how that turns out.
Oof.
Hopefully it'll turn
That
out
sounds
well.
like it's like on your goals now because we went from
I
like
knew
these
it
are the
was
goals
coming.
I had for.
I knew it was
You're
coming.
like
Oh,
half
okay.
blowout fight.
I had some long-term friends that a little bit my fault, but mostly on them.
Okay.
Seemed to take me for granted.
Oh.
And I was like, look, I can only give you good advice for so many decades. So
makes sense.
at some point you have to listen to some of it. But I also reconciled with a relative of mine who we'd had on International Diabetes Day. We had a big argument about me being kind of lazy. And I was like, oh, you're going to regret this one. That's what I was thinking
my
the whole
God.
time. Yeah. Yeah. It would be, yeah. And I was like, oh, you're going to regret that one. You are. I know it. I
good.
know it. I agree with some of the things you're saying. I can be a little lazy, but this was the wrong time. And I let people
don't
go,
do it.
too.
Right.
Like, they're going to say something. I was like, ooh, tell me more.
Get all of it out.
No. What am I doing wrong?
And then we
I
can sit
love to
down and
hear
we'll
this.
pick it apart later.
Yeah, because I got a psychology degree, but I got a philosophy minor.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
yeah, so I was a nightmare for every class. When I was in psychology, I was like,
You're like,
could you define your
philosophy?
terms, please? And when I was in a philosophy class, I was like, that's just not how humans work.
Right.
And they're like, well, Kant believes. I was like, that's cool for Kant,
But
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 it's just not.
psychology,
It's
yeah.
like, sorry, that one we don't know much. We figured that one out.
Like developmental science says.
Or like when you go into an economics class and they're like, everyone is acting out of their own self-interest. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're not.
We kind of made them do that and then blamed them for it.
Well, it's not a
You
bad
know,
thing in economics.
Right.
That's just
capitalism.
a human actor. But, maybe they don't know what their own self-interest is at all.
right.
Or
That's
they've been told it's something else. It's
Or-
like hurt
well,
this
and it
person,
becomes,
it's
like,
in your self-interest. It's like, is
impulsive.
it really?
Yeah. I like to say that, and this is one I teach my kids a lot, is that they're not doing it to you, they're just doing it. So I'm like, it's not about you. Like most of the time, it's not
yeah.
about you.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they're not doing it
Yeah.
because they want to do something to you.
Right. They're not doing it
They're
to
doing
you.
it
They're
because
just doing it.
This is their problem.
Right.
Because they are a self-centered human being.
It's like, don't worry, karma will take care of it. I taught my cat how to high five.
Oh.
So I like to train animals, and I don't get to do it all that much. I used to train my friends' dogs, usually because they were very misbehaved.
Right.
So I would go over to their house and was like, "Can I train your dog? Y'all mind if I just like teach your dog not to jump on me?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, go for it." And so it would work some places, and then other places I'd find out it was the friend. And I'd be like, check mark, hanging out with you less. You bad influence is what you are. But
The dogs told me so.
yeah. Oh, I walked backwards each day. I walk backwards for about 10 minutes every day, if
Okay.
possible.
Why?
It is a workout for the tibialis, which is like if you feel your shin, there's the bone part,
Yeah.
and then there's this little strip of soft part.
Okay.
And it turns out that little strip of soft part is extremely important for the stability of your knee. And like they did, the only research I'm aware of it, I wish I could remember the name of the researcher, but is having people in old folks' homes just walk back any speed, more or less as long as your foot went behind your knee while you were walking.
Interesting.
You could shuffle,
Right.
even. And it reduced falls by like a huge percentage.
Interesting.
I might
For
have
the
to
people
start
who did
doing
it.
that.
I recommend it to everyone. It's easy. It looks super weird, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had my only joint surgery, which I feel like I apologize, but I've only had one.
I come with just the one surgery.
Yeah, so it was a big deal. No, I'm joking. Was knee surgery because I had a torn inner meniscus.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, they told me it's real painful. I didn't feel it when it happened. I felt it when it let me know it had torn more.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
I was jumping upstairs.
Oh,
shit.
no.
And it tore, and I remember I was in the air when I realized,
There was a problem. Like,
no. I thought to myself, how do I land?
Oh, no.
And so I managed to land enough on the other leg to not just like face plant into concrete.
Oh, God.
And I hopped over to a bench and like, are you okay? I was like, definitely not.
oh my God.
I had to get surgery for that, and then did all these kicks that I felt like I was going to learn how to do synchronized swimming. To keep all those leg muscles good, but I couldn't move the leg.
Yep.
I keep hitting the mic and then getting afraid about it.
Oh, it's all good.
But yeah, so walking backwards, fantastic. That really worked. Mostly, actually, it worked on the other knee.
That's
Like
really
this knee doesn't. The knee I had the surgery on, not that much pain.
Yeah.
But they told me at the time, it was like, oh, and eventually you'll get knee surgery on the other one. I'm like,
yeah,
I
because you
don't.
have to compensate, and your body naturally compensates. And yeah.
That's what they told me. And
Right.
I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. You can't
Right.
tell me what to do.
You're not my mom.
My mom didn't get to tell me what to do much either. It was a very.
You don't know my life.
What is it? My favorite one was apparently, I don't remember saying this, but it definitely happened because I've been hearing about it ever since. She asked me why I hadn't cleaned my room yet. And I said that Rome wasn't cleaned in a day. And I loved that one.
But Pompeii was wiped out in a day.
Yeah. Or the late
I
worm never
apologize.
gets eaten. Why don't you wake up earlier? The late worm never gets eaten.
Yeah.
That's my response
Fair.
to the early bird.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why would I want to hang out with early birds? I don't like eating worms. But
That was at fidget time.
Must channel fidgety energy. Because remember, I have bees in my body.
Yes.
Okay.
Not happy about it either.
I have only two more that I have to get out of my system,
Okay.
which is that I began reading Kurt Vonnegut's Sirens of Titan.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Kurt Vonnegut?
Maybe in
Some.
context.
Okay. He was a writer in the 60s and 70s, and he wrote a lot of kind of absurdist, surrealist science fiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the one that I read the very first time was Slaughterhouse 5.
That I do know, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the aliens are like what are they called? They look like a plunger with eyes. That's his aliens in that
Nice.
one.
Yeah.
He's good at just saying, "Oh, they're supposed to look a certain way."
Yeah.
Didn't hear that. Like that seems like the way he approaches it, or he like minutely knows exactly what he's doing. And Sirens of Titan was I actually heard about it on a Dhamma talk, which is just like a discussion of Buddhist philosophy, and the guy who's giving the talk mentioned it as one of the great American Dhamma books. And I knew he was being a little tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
Because it's not.
American. Yeah.
But if you are looking at it from the point of view of like an early Buddhist philosophy viewpoint, it is. It's a real distinct discussion of like the dangers of only relying on like physical pleasures, sensory pleasure. It's also weirdly pertinent to our current times. It talks about, you know, like a ruler of Mars who likes experimenting with like brain implants. And I was like, oh, that's weirdly on point.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, they control media companies, do they? I'm feeling real strange about starting this book this week. So that's been wild.
Interesting.
And of course, it's the very dark versions of those.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm
I'm
looking
all
forward
for the
to it.
like dark, all the dark,
Yeah.
all the horror,
It has
all
dark
the
stuff,
like
and it has good
disturbing.
stuff.
Nice.
Like it seems like Mars is some of the dark stuff.
Yeah.
But I know I've heard, because this was before we knew much about the actual makeup of those planets. Like we knew they were there, obviously.
Yeah,
but we were, that was the time period where people were getting into space, literally and physically. And so the description of Mercury, I think, is the one I'm looking forward to, because it's supposed to be a description. It's like kind of his response to people saying we live in the best of all possible worlds. Like our bodies are formed perfectly. Which of course with chronic illness you're like, oh really? Tell me more. My body was
Where's
made
my perfect one?
perfectly.
I was lied to.
Yeah.
What do you mean my warranty's expired?
But so it's interesting. Apparently the beings of that planet feed from vibrations. Because vibration can be turned back into energy.
Well, and
so
absolutely.
they've evolved to do that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, and I like to think about it like we
Or
talk
at least
about
some
like
of the beings.
vibes and vibrations, but like literally everything vibrates
Yeah, there's a frequency.
at a frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise it wouldn't be what it is.
Right.
It'd be something else.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting.
I think. Wait, was there one?
Was there another one?
Oh, I accidentally met the head of the city council for Denver
Okay.
in a coffee shop while he's talking to someone else. And I just interject. I just talk to strangers. That's my main form of social interaction.
There you
I
go.
go out, I go to coffee shops because I figure if you're here, you chose to deal with this. Strange, tall dudes who just talk about poetry, Buddhism, and really intense stuff. That's what you go to a coffee shop for.
That's the experience.
Absolutely.
And that's me.
That's what you sign when you walk through
That's
the
what
door.
I do when I'm there. So I just started talking because they were talking about homeless issues. And I'd been talking to a campaign manager a while back in another coffee shop.
That's funny.
And they had all these wild ideas about homelessness that really annoyed me. Because people seemed like, they're like, oh, we have to solve that problem. We have to solve this problem. Exposure to the elements kills a lot faster than any other problem.
Yeah.
They just need a roof. Doesn't have to be a house.
Right.
That's the thing. People get really way too picky. Well, how will we have houses? How will we do this?
Walls
Build pavilions.
and the
Yeah.
thing.
I
Yeah.
knew plenty of homeless people in Florida who were like, yeah, man, this like there would be towns that would build a pavilion and then tell the homeless it was okay to camp there. Their homeless problem became way less.
Right.
People want to help them know where to go. They
Well-
kind of self-manage when they have a place that they know they're allowed to be.
Yeah.
Well,
you
and if
don't
we,
want people ruin it for you.
Exactly.
if we rehumanize people, they have a better chance of moving up.
Yeah.
And more hope to move up and more support to move up. Because right now what we have is like this huge disconnect and lack of community support and wraparound. And
There's this idea that
we
it's
just
someone
kind of
else's problem.
dehumanize
Exactly.
them and we're like, they become, I don't know, part of the scenery, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to live life if you have to worry a whole bunch about what's the temperature like.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
rain? Is it going to snow?
How
And
many
that's being
like, do you have
deciding
socks?
whether or not you'll make it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your whole
Well, and
life
the
is
cold.
different.
Oh my God, the cold snaps that
Yeah,
we've
that
had,
freaks me out.
where it goes
'Cause I'm from the
negative
South.
really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
really fast.
I get kind of freaked out because I don't have the space to put someone in my house.
Yeah.
If I had like a garage, I'd be like, I'd open it and I'd like have a sign. It's like, don't steal anything and you can stay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, but
I've seen it. It's really smart now. What they're doing is tents. Like first thing, homeless
people
people are
tents,
collecting are tents.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Well,
then
tent cities have been big for a while.
yeah, just not here. Like not
Really?
near where.
Maybe
Not
'cause
that
it's
I've
so cold.
seen so much. Like you see homelessness, but you generally like that. It's really interesting. Like they're building communities within like small pockets of essentially suburbia.
Yeah.
Right.
Wherever
Which
they
is
find abandoned
fascinating,
land
yeah.
or land that no one's going to bother them.
Yeah.
And what they're doing now is they're working with some of the like shops and companies, and in exchange for cleaning the parking lots and doing the weeding, they are camping out in those spaces.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening right off of 225 by my house.
In Florida, there's
interesting.
like a bunch of like just land
Yeah.
that like someone just has in an estate or it's just
Right.
sitting there being swampland. So they've had tent cities for a while, but a lot of people in Florida will talk about like they're like you see them seasonally
Yeah.
because they'll travel north when it's hot, and they'll come back to Florida when it starts to get cold.
That bothers me intensely that we don't have like space for nomadism within American society.
Western culture has a hard time with it
That
in
bothers
general.
the
Yeah.
shit out of me, and like
Whereas in India,
I
it's
don't like
just totally
it. Like
expected.
Right.
nomadism is part of the human condition. I think. That's
Our grandfather
how
used to
we-
take people through India, and that's
Yeah.
basically what they would do. They would just meander through
right.
with like a class of DU students.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, the DU students got there and like, here, you're gonna find out what the real world is like.
Yeah.
Prepare yourselves.
Get ready.
I had an existential crisis after India.
Oh really?
Yeah, I went with a family who had helped out a whole lot in high school, and they were Muslim, but from India, which meant I got to go to India and see what it was like in India from the point of view of a minority,
Right.
which was really fascinating because there's plenty of Muslim people in India.
Yeah.
And it was actually really cool to hear the prayer call throughout the cities. It sounds really neat when you're there physically and it's a real thing to you.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then you look down from like the apartment and there's just tons of people just walking to go to prayer. But you kind of realize that like our concept of poverty would, to anyone in poverty in India and probably a lot of other places in the world, would look like living like a king. And I realized, I was like, okay, so this shopkeeper, he owns his own shop, he's doing well, but this is where he lives too. Like he sleeps on the floor because I could see his bedroll.
Yeah.
And I was like realizing like how intense that was
Yeah.
because he didn't have a door.
Right.
That's why he slept there. He had found an empty hole in the building, taken possession of it. And there were whole buildings like that where they had been finished, the structure had been made.
Yeah.
Except
And
for the
then,
outer
like,
walls.
abandoned.
And I asked one of them, I asked one of the people I was traveling with, she had worked as a social worker in India, which I was like,
Wow.
That's intense all
buddy.
by itself. Yeah.
yeah. And I asked her, I was like, why, what are all the lights in the building? What's going on? And she was like, oh, no, those are cooking fires. Because people just lived up there.
Yeah.
Because they were just abandoned buildings and someone needed a place to live. I stayed at a place called Beverly Hills Hotel. And the hill was a trash mound.
Oh no.
The hotel is good. Just in case you're watching this. I like the hotel. The cheesy toast in the morning. Oh, delicious. But the hills nearby, I don't think were Beverly.
Right.
So it was really when I got back, I had like formed my whole identity about helping people.
Yeah.
And I was just crushed. I was just like the realization of just like, if I want, like, I had not yet had the positive spin on it yet. So it was
Right.
just like, oh, I can't help anyone.
Oh, yeah.
That was the feeling that hit.
it's the like
And then for a few years it built
the
underground.
shrinking of your
Right.
own self and the expanding of the actual problems. Like when you
Yeah.
look at something and you're like, this could be so simple, and then you dig deeper and you're like,
When you assume
this is
you
not
knew
at
the
all
problem.
simple
Yeah.
and maybe not even solvable at all in our
Yeah.
current state. Shit.
Yeah, it was strange. It was an odd experience. I enjoyed going, but it was interesting to see people just totally like, no one like acts weird about the homeless there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's homeless that they like and homeless they don't like, but they don't act weird about either.
Right.
Like if they're in robes and they're wandering around and they're just a wandering mendicant, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And you'll see naked people wander around like that too. They're just covered in ash, because that's, I guess, their form of renunciation.
Right.
And this is a naked dude will just walk past on the street. No one's weird
Yeah.
about it. And I'm like, okay, that definitely wouldn't fly. No, that
No.
won't work in
God, no.
America. But it would be interesting if we got more, like, if Westerners got more in touch with, like, just how nomadic most of our cultures have been.
Right.
Yeah.
If
Like,
we
how do you
could
think we got to
shrink-
California?
If we could shrink what it means to be like humanity, because we have this like insanely grandiose picture of ourselves, right?
Yeah,
like,
now we do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then
Oh my
we
God.
have completely 110% overcomplicated the human condition, and then we wonder why we're all so fucking depressed, because we are living in a way that is just counterintuitive.
Lots of times. Or we think the things that'll make us happy kind of by definition can't.
Yeah.
Like we think, oh, this will make me happy. This will make you happy. It's like, well, you have to figure out how happy will you be when you lose it.
Exactly.
That's the
yeah.
actual, like, that's the actual, like, thing you
Right.
get is how you feel when it's gone.
See, and that's kind of, for me, like with runaway brain, because I was a runaway and I had to abandon everything that I owned
Okay.
at that point. And like even since then, like stuff is not my thing.
Mm-mm.
I do not, like, I think I almost intentionally do not attach myself to things
Okay.
because,
Except for fidgeters.
yeah, because at one
If she
point or
loses in
another,
fidgets, oh my God.
at one point or another, I could like totally lose it. And why get attached if
What it
like
used to.
is it really that important?
Yeah. See, now you're getting it.
It's a ball bearing. Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. They're great. I love
I was
them. And
like,
they're
these aren't
magnets.
fidget spinners. How do they work?
And I
They're
like
the
to.
inside of them.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is hold them just barely apart and then
The magic of fields.
Yeah.
ha ha ha.
I was watching a video about electrical fields the other day,
Uh-huh.
and it blew my mind. It was about how, because like when you plug in, like when you turn on a light, you think of it as, well, you might think of it as like the electricity, the electrons moving through the wire.
Yeah.
Turns out that's not what carries energy at all.
Uh-huh.
Like not even remotely.
Right.
It's an electric field
Mm-hmm.
that is pretty much just almost immediately
yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
near
As soon
the
as
speed
you
of light.
create the connection.
Yeah.
In
was
Deming,
wild.
we used to take fluorescent light bulbs and go under the power lines and light them up.
Oh, that's cool.
Just, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Just like-
cool.
Well, and we talk a lot about.
So cool.
I don't know. We speculate a lot about because we know that my electricity is fucked because
No.
movement disorder. So because it's not, we've looked everywhere. It's not a seizure thing. It's not like an imbalance of something thing. It's literally like my muscular electricity is screwed up. But I often break electrical things
Mm.
Oh no.
constantly and forever.
Just
And
reach
so
over
I've
and slowly
always
move the mic
wondered.
away from
Yeah, right?
Like, you're done.
You
for the
break
day.
things,
Right?
do you?
But
I had a
it's
friend
true,
like that. He would
everything
only
goes
buy
bad.
cheap laptops because he fried them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I don't know what the deal is, but it's interesting. And I think it like all of that kind of comes back to what we talk about when we talk about how like we as humans have a lot more instinct than we tend to think we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so far detached from it that no one can identify it or use it. And then for us, because we've had to figure out how to like reset our own joints and like all of those other things where you're like, I feel icky. How
Put
do
the
I make
model
it
back
not
together.
so icky?
Nice.
Instinct says do the thing, and so we do the thing, and then it works, and it's
Maybe
fine.
this will work. I was like, what is it? What is my version of that? And I was like checking my pump.
There you go. But like, something is up.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite example is one time, I'd never done this before. Oh, it sings.
Yeah. You're not too excited about that once you've heard it a couple thousand times.
I bet.
There's some pumps that I just will never use just because I've heard their
Oh,
chime.
like, if
no,
I had
not
to
too much,
listen
just
to
their
that,
chime.
I would
And I'm
lose
like,
my mind.
never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never do that. Absolutely not.
It bothers me enough that my like washer and dryer sing to me.
Yeah.
That's annoying, and I hate.
You don't like that they sing to you?
No, it bothers.
Oh.
I'm like,
can
stop
turn it
being
off.
so happy.
There are
can
ways
turn
to
it
turn it
off.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have. I
Unless
don't,
it's Japanese made. And
care
then they're
that
just like,
much.
deal with it.
Exactly. This
Your
is-
life's going to be better. We designed it that way on purpose.
it's
We're aware.
what is it? Hitchhiker's
team
Guide,
of
where all the
psychologists.
Yeah,
doors
so
like
thank
sigh
you.
happily, or yeah,
Yeah.
the happy doors. Yeah.
That sounds
Poor
nice,
Marvin
actually.
and his like, fuck these happy doors.
Oh, yeah. He's
Yep.
too intelligent, so he's just depressed all the time.
Right there, you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like,
I hate to rewatch that movie.
right.
That was good.
My
I like the yarn
husband
episode.
teaches parts of it because he teaches like English night school,
Okay.
and so they do Vogon poetry as part of the
Oh,
course.
wow.
Which is hilarious. I love it so much.
Why force people to listen to Vogon? They might
They
die.
have
Yeah.
to write their own Vogon poetry. It's
Oh
fantastic.
my God.
Yeah.
I wrote poetry this week. That was also a thing I did this week.
Nice.
Wrote some angry poetry.
Nice.
Wrote
There
some,
you go.
I think I wrote some spiritual poetry.
Do you
but-
perform your poetry?
No.
Okay. I know some people do, and some people just write it. But
I was inspired by very much. Well, two main inspirations. Three main inspirations. Dr. Seuss,
yep.
Emily Dickinson, and Longfellow.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
right?
Together.
And of course, every breakup I've ever had.
Yeah.
Great, deep source of
There you go.
inspiration
Yeah.
right there. Yeah,
You're
that's how
like,
I got into it. I was staring
The deep
forlornly
agony.
down a road while sitting on some marble footsteps, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And I thought, well, people write poetry when they're sad about breakups, right? It was my first like serious breakup. I was like, I'll try it, and I wrote like 130.
Oh my God.
All the poetry I've been saving up for years of trauma. We're like,
There you go.
so many things about this girl.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I also, the Emily Dickinson part
Uh huh.
is competitive. I want to
Okay.
write more than her.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
She wrote 1,800 poems.
Wow.
And she only published like 70 or 80 and asked
Right.
for the others to be burnt.
Wow.
So I don't read much of hers. Because I feel like it'd be kind of disrespectful.
Right, because you're like, where's the other stuff?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's out. Her,
Oh,
no,
really?
When she died, her
They didn't burn it.
No.
They were like,
they were like,
"Nah.
look, we've taken
We've
care
got
of you
the
for years
we've
as a
got the
recluse.
cheese.
Yeah.
We're like, we are making a return.
Nice. There
And
you
so
go.
they took up all her. Apparently, she would just write on scraps sometimes. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
normal, just in a book. Sometimes little scraps
Yeah.
of paper. But she used slant rhyme, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's not quite strict rhyming.
Right.
Yeah.
But it sounds the
I love
same
slant
to you.
rhymes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
the same sound to it. Yeah.
So mine ends up sounding like Dr. Seuss, sad about a breakup, writing
That's
slant rhyme,
fantastic.
and some Longfellow, so it's easy to listen to.
I love that.
But when I get, eventually I'll publish something.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say you have to.
Yeah,
I'd
it got
love to read
published
that.
in some like school
Yeah.
publications.
Oh,
Whenever
nice.
I submitted, one of them would get published. Always the one I didn't want.
Right.
Always the one I was like, just
That's our
please.
videos. The ones everyone's like, I love this, and we're like,
We hated that
why?
episode.
What's wrong with you? And then you guys are like, meh, about the ones we're like, I love this so much.
Oh no!
We put it out, and you guys are like, but we like the stupid
clap.
one.
We like the dumb
I
one.
like the dumb one. I like the one where you made a total fool of yourself. It's great.
that one
it's
where
my
you
favorite.
fell down. That's the other
From
thing I did this
sitting?
week. I fell
Oh, no.
down. Yeah.
In preparation for this podcast.
Yeah, I was prepping for the podcast. And so in the middle of the night, I had a 445 blood sugar, which anyone who's diabetic listening will be like, well, you do what? Why didn't you call the hospital? And it's because I don't want to go to the hospital.
This sounds very
so
familiar.
I got up in the middle of the night because I was feeling real nauseous. And long ago, I made an important decision to only decide how nauseous I feel sitting next to a toilet.
Yeah, I can get that.
I have a few carpets in my life permanently bleached because I didn't make that
You're like,
decision
I'm fine with it.
fast enough.
Right.
Yeah, as a child though, so I didn't get too much blame.
Right.
Just a little. And so I was trying to go there. I was half asleep. And I fell down.
Oh no.
And I almost fell asleep. I was on the floor because I didn't get up fast. I was like, well, we'll figure it out here. And I was thinking about it. I was like, how bad do I feel? And I opened my eyes and I'm like, where am I?
We should probably do something about this now.
And I got up and I went ahead and went into the bathroom. I didn't see the ghost of meals past, but I did listen to a song called Weightless. Have you heard of that? Weightless by Marconi Union.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's
I don't
wonderful.
know either.
I think you will
We'll
really
have to
like
play
it,
it on break.
especially. It was designed to relax people,
Oh, okay.
and then they proved that it was more effective than a prescribed sedative.
Nice.
Fascinating.
Like, they were worried about it enough that when they released it, they said, please do not listen to this while you drive. Please do not.
Instant sleep.
Challenge accepted.
But I listened to it, and I was sitting on the floor next to the commode, and I was like, almost falling asleep. And at that point, it didn't make sense. I wasn't laying on the floor feeling sorry for myself. I was
Right.
sitting on the floor feeling sorry for myself. So, yeah, man, that sounds great. And I just got up, and I was like, oh, this is wonderful. Because I was trying to figure out, am I just super anxious about getting sick?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Because my doctor had told me years ago, if you get sick, go to the ER. Because of how often my once I got sick, it would start happening on a pattern.
Oh.
Like one time I got sick every hour. That's the time I bleached the carpet.
No.
I got sick every
Oh,
hour.
no.
And then it shifted to half an hour. And I just told my parents, we're going to the ER. And they're like, what? And I was like, get the car. And so I remember I collect canes and walking sticks.
Hey.
Yeah. My mom told me I had to have a hobby. And I asked, can I collect things?
Mobility aids.
Which I knew they wouldn't say no to. 'Cause
Right.
They collect way too much stuff. And she was like, yes, if it's hard to find. And so I was like, what about
Interesting.
antique or fancy canes?
Aha.
And she was like, okay. Because they love to spend time in antique shops and junk shops.
Yeah.
So let them do more of what they wanted to do. And I knew I wasn't going to get them to stop going to those.
Right.
So I was just like, I'll just find something to do at the antique shop. So I have all these antique canes and like
That's
things
cool.
canes my granddad made and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then I
That's
expanded to walking sticks because there's a lot of cool
That was
ones.
my
that's
first
all.
love, was walking,
Walking
sticks.
sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's break time.
Yeah. You're dying.
It's hot in here.
It is
Oh.
on here. I'm just looking at you and you're like flushing and I'm like, yeah, it's time.
It's fine.
See,
I'll just melt.
I
It's
spent
like
a
looking in
decade
a
in
mirror.
Florida, so
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
fine.
You're
it's
like, I
always
feel
cold and dry
weird.
everywhere else I go.
I mean, I grew up in the desert. You think I'd be okay, but
Okay, but we
It's all that
live
wet
in Karen.
yeah, it was a very dry heat. I was very
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
See, I like the wet heat.
Really?
If it's under
don't
80%
mind.
humidity, I'm a little annoyed.
Yeah, I don't mind Florida. I've been to Florida and I've never
It's
minded
too
the
dry for
humidity.
me.
I
That was
Other
my
people are
first
bothered
complaint.
and I'm like,
Wow.
Oh well.
When I went to college, when I escaped Alabama the first time, I complained about how dry it was all the time. Because there it was like 70%. Alabama
Yeah.
it got up to like 90% almost every day.
Wow.
Oh, I loved it.
I wonder how that would affect, because we know that like barometrics play a huge role in how we feel just in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder how the humidity affects that.
I seemed
also.
to like it when I was in California. It was really nice.
I think I have a hard time sweating
Mm,
when it's already like wet.
I don't.
yeah.
I will lose liquid. It does not matter.
You're like, yes, I'm
I
swimming
do
again.
Exactly.
not. I'm like, I'm already pre-wet. we will just overheat and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
Yeah, break time.
Break time. What do they need to do?
Eat food. You need
Coffee
to eat
is not a meal.
coffee.
Coffee is not a meal.
Except-
it's not hydrating either.
All I've eaten today was coffee. So,
You didn't eat the coffee you drank.
I chewed it.
I brought you some sugar pie.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have that
Yeah.
when we get out. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
Yeah, I had it for the first time. It is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, and I get it from the Japanese bakery.
Also, friends, take your meds if you've not done that.
Yes.
Take a break from whatever you're doing because you deserve it.
Yeah, you're not lazy. It's a break, just a little one.
Everyone has to rest.
Yes.
Or change of scenery.
Yeah.
That's nice too. Yeah.
I wanna add in one because I teach meditation.
Do
Take a few real pleasant breaths, which sounds strange, but your breath can be really comfy. Try just give yourself a nice pleasant breath.
That's that, like, drop back into your body for a little while.
Yeah. See where you can be nice to it.
Yeah.
Nice to it. This is hilarious.
I love sitting here because you're very antithetical at points. It's just like
I'm like, be
And I'm,
nice
like,
to
trying
Karen.
real hard to
No,
tone it
Karen's
down.
a biatch.
you don't have to tone it down. It's fine.
I don't have self-preservation. This is my
My
problem.
professors told me I need to tone it down.
Okay.
I had a professor once after class be like, when you disagree with someone, you sound like you think they're an idiot. And I was like, yeah. I was joking. I was joking, but I knew he'd believe it.
Yeah.
Because in that class,
You're like,
it
I'll
was
just
with
play
someone
the part, it's
who
fine.
we always argue. He
There
hated
you
me.
go.
Okay.
So we were arguing.
Sorry, I'm trying to untangle my limbs.
Time.
It is
Yeah.
break time.
All right.
Okay, do the things. Be nice to you. Be nice to others. We'll see you in a bit.
Peace.